Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Days Off 8. Basically, I'm starting this at night. Normally I start it right when I wake up. This is right before I go to sleep. I wanted to say something. It's gonna be filmed tomorrow morning. Well, later this day, I guess. But today is July 20th. 2013. 40 years ago today, Bruce Lee died. He's been a huge deal for me almost my entire life. My stepmom introduced me to him. And when I use the term stepmom, that's just to not have it confused. My stepmother, sadly, she's passed away, and it was a great loss. But my mom is still alive, and stepmom has no disrespect behind it. It's simply just a term that there's been two different people that have been my mother figure in my life, and probably more so my stepmother than my mother ever, because my stepmom was with me day to day. But that's not what we're on. That's going to be a completely different thing for us to get into some other time. What I'd like to say today is simply Bruce Lee was major. He was a big deal. I can't stress enough how big of a deal Bruce Lee was. So basically, I would just like to share with you a moment of silence at the start of this video. It's been 40 years since he was taken. He would be 72 years old, and it is my belief that not so much that he would still be fighting in movies, but I believe that he would be a big fan of UFC. I believe that's true. I believe that he would like to have seen where it's gone. I believe that if he would have been in it, he probably would have been an absolute monster. And I still don't believe that those guys could match what he did, but I just have to say that I believe he would still be writing and directing films. And he would probably be more responsible for bringing the next generation of martial arts movies to us than other directors. It says something about him when 40 years later you can still read his books, you can still see his movies, and he can still have a profound influence on the way you think, on the way you live. And that's not just me talking. It's real. He was a great man, and I can't get into it too much here because, like I said, there's going to be a special Chairs episode dedicated to his life, and that's probably already posted before this is posted. So if so, go ahead and click the ReploidProductions and check that video out. And let's have a moment of silence now and remember Bruce Lee. There will probably never be another Bruce Lee. So today, if you're seeing this, if you didn't know, go check out something. Go on YouTube, go on your movie collection, go on Netflix, Hulu, whatever. Find something Bruce Lee and watch it. Check it out. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. So I will, of course, continue this like normal. When I wake up, I'll go over some things and this and that, but I thought it was very important that I put this at the start of my video because he's been a huge deal to me for so long in my life that I couldn't just simply say nothing. So I'll catch you guys here when I wake up. Alright, what's up? It's morning. Just like I said, I was gonna get back to you in the morning. I just woke up. We're here. We haven't... Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't told anybody what the episode is about today because I'd like more real responses instead of stuff that they've already thought of ahead of time. I want like on the spot, like, because he inspired people so heavily and so majorly that even if you're not a martial artist, even if you're just a writer, even if you just want to do music, even like it's unbelievable how that philosophy that he created can be dubbed so well into so many different things. And I don't think there's a person that I've ever met that hasn't at least been impressed by him, if not inspired by him. So I want more real responses when we do this video today. So that's the reason I've done that. You'll also notice that for the first time ever I've turned the camera on and I haven't been all tired and everything. It's not actually because I've got more sleep. Not to sit there and I'm not trying to brag, but this is another one of those things like I'm trying to say. The only reason I'm mentioning this is because of the Bruce Lee thing. Bruce Lee believed that we had to live better. Like, that was a big thing about it, and I let myself fall apart for a very long time with fast food and everything else, and I've been doing a lot better. I cut my diet majorly. I only have one soda a day. I only have one fast food item a week, and every single morning when I wake up, I now do sit-ups, I do push-ups, and then I have an 80-pound bar in the basement that I do 15 reps, and then I have a 60-pound bar beside that I do some curls on, usually about 10 to 15. It's not a major workout, it's not something like that, there's not going to be Buff Bill, but, like, it is true that we need to live better. If you treat yourself better, it's going to pay off for you, and it really has been. I wake up, I have more energy, I feel better, I make it through my day, I'm not tired when I go home after work. It's a slight thing, but this is just one of those little things that he knew almost instinctually, and for some reason we all just ignore so heavily in our daily lives. And since that's changed for me, this has all become a lot easier. You'll notice there's a lot more material because I'm more awake. I can edit more material and get it out faster, and Nick has been the one posting that material because he has the real good internet, and there's no way my internet could keep up with how fast I'm getting the videos done now. So I guess that's all I wanted to say here, and I'll talk to you after the episode is done. Okay, Bruce Lee episode is done. It turned out okay. It's long, it's a big episode, but it turned out okay, and I don't mind that it's a big episode because there was a lot to say on it, and especially in terms of Bruce Lee, I really could talk all night long. So I don't care that it turned out being as big as it was, or as long as it was. So it's ready to go up. It's probably going to be up shortly after this, or it may go up right before this. It's hard to tell because I'm in the process of editing it right now, but it is not small. It's like a 3-hour video. And like I said before, it's a talk about his whole life from start to finish, like a whole bunch of different things that he did, inspired, changed, and all different kinds of things like that. I'm really kind of happy about the way it went. I feel like we had a really good discussion. I feel like it's a big chairs episode, but it's pretty well done. And of course I'm gonna be doing things like throwing images up and things like that, because with the new recording stuff, it's been a lot easier to try to show you what I'm talking about or convey something funny or whatever, this or that, as I'm going. And that's something that I was hoping for in the first place when I very first started all this. You'll notice that in the first chairs episodes, there used to be a TV behind us, and it would play images or previews of the things that we were talking about, and slowly but surely the camera couldn't handle it, so we had to get rid of it. The old camera that we used was not very good at changing its lighting, I guess is what you would say. So when the TV was there, it would darken everybody around the TV to focus on the TV, and then that just messed everything up. This could be the last entry for Days Off this time. I know I didn't really do much except for talk about how we're going to talk about Bruce Lee, and even now that's all I'm doing is finishing talking about how we talked about Bruce Lee. So I guess if there's nothing else, let's talk about this. Manga. A lot of people are really big into like watching anime. Now, I love anime. I've been watching it for years. I like it. I have a good understanding of not just anime in general, but a lot of the cliches and different things like that that come out of the genre. And as a fan, as time has gone by, I've kind of fell more to manga than I have to anime, and that's not saying anything bad about anime, but lately we have this new show that's running that Kevin is in charge of. Kevin came back, and when he came back he said he wants to be in episodes, but he doesn't have the free time that he used to have, so I told him I can get him into some episodes, but probably not things like the chairs and whatnot, because I can't change my filming schedule to try to incorporate him when I have everybody else on a certain day. So what we came up with was it's kind of like essentially it's just an agreement that back when this whole thing started, the idea was that different people would come work with me and help me with my show. And then, because of that, we would post everything on Reploid Productions that was not just from my shows, but we would get some of their shows running too. Like Nick is the one who was hardcore about wanting the Let's Plays. He really wants Let's Plays on the channel, and I'm not against Let's Plays. In fact, I have a good time when we film them, but I wanted it to be a more personal type of thing, like more like a podcast type of deal, more of discussion like the podcasts used to be, because we've kind of lost that. We're not able to do the podcasts the way we used to, and I'm going to be reposting all the podcasts with pictures and different graphics and this and that, just so that they're a little more enjoyable and you can watch them on YouTube if you missed them. But because of our new show, the anime review, a week in anime is what Kevin calls it, and so far he's keeping up with it, and he's working on the newer episode right now. He's trying to get things posted quick, and he's trying to stay more fluent, like staying with more current things, and that's not a bad thing, but I've been trying to talk to him to get it to alter a little bit. I think that he should talk about all anime in general, and a week in anime is more his idea of talking about what's come out right now, what's the newest thing, episode by episode, 2-3 episodes at a time, and telling you about things like the new Gatchaman. And Gatchaman has changed majorly since I watched it, and even the Gatchaman that I watched wasn't even my Gatchaman. It was like the Gatchaman of basically the generation before me. So I remember it being almost like a Power Rangers type of thing. They were like these scientist guys, and they were supposed to protect the universe, and they had the bird suits. They would do the suit with the thing that came down in front of them, and two of them even made it into a fighting game, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. That was pretty cool that I got to see two of them. We got the guy and the girl in there, and I remember years ago there was a crossover comic. Wizard made a big deal about it, to have the Thundercats and the Gatchaman fight, And that was kind of cool. I remember reading those books and being like, these dudes are beast. But it was definitely a Power Rangers feeling, and I don't get that from the two things that I've seen now. But as he's been going to do this, I'm trying to get him to break into also some older anime to give his thoughts on series that are already done and different things like that, but stick to his same format because I really like what he's got going on right now. But there's a part of it that we're not covering, and that is, of course, manga. So there will be another show, and I'm not going to make it a constant show because I got enough on my shoulders right now. The way the network works, if it's your show, you run it. So, like, I direct, write, do the screenplay stuff, try to keep the conversation moving in the right direction. I do all the edits. I'm in charge of every single thing. And that's talking in terms of specific shows, because if you're talking about Kevin's show or if you're talking about Nick's show, then that's the same idea for them. Kevin edits and directs and tries to control all the screen and everything for his show. That's his thing. And I might offer advice here and there, but he has the final call. It's his show, it's his stuff. And the same for Nick. Nick started his Paladin's Way, and there were a lot of people that had some negative things to say, but he is just starting, and it's not going to be the same as my days off. He might end up taking parts of the format, but he's not used to doing his own show yet. It's his first forte, and I don't believe he really intended to sound egotistical, but the fact of the matter is he did sound egotistical, and he's working on that. I mean, it's a learning experience. You post some videos, you get some response, you take what you can from it, and you move on, and you keep pushing forward. So the Paladin's Way is not gone. He hasn't given up. He was a little disappointed that it didn't turn out as good as he wanted it to, but it's coming back, okay? So he'll keep doing it, and he'll get better at it. I believe that. I believe he'll get better at it. And the Let's Plays are a credit to Nick because he did demand them for a very, very long time. And the only thing that kept me from doing them is that a lot of the Let's Plays that I've watched are super boring. It's like one guy, and he's like, and yeah, this is Tatsuma Suki Duka Duka Baka, and I'm here because I'm gonna play Demi Kid's Light. Look at that guy. I always kind of like that monster. What should we name this guy? That's a lot of them that I've seen, and they're super boring, and I want to keep the energy up, and the only thing I could think of to do that was to run it like the podcast. The podcast no longer exists, and it's a decent format, and we can still run the podcast and have the Let's Play going on the screen at the same time, so we can get a review of a game out of the way while also talking in terms of podcast format about the game, memories, whatever, while having some fun and throwing some jokes and keeping it relatively interesting. And I think that's important that we keep the energy levels up, because that's one of the only things we really have going for us. Is I see a lot of different guys where that energy drags out, and I feel like we're getting better about keeping the energy at a specific level throughout the course of the entire Let's Play, and that's very important. We also don't finish games. We play the game. We sit down, we run through the game. It's probably like an hour, sometimes a 2-hour show, and we just have fun with it. We play the game until everybody's died at least once, and we're like, well, that's about as far as we could ever get in this game unless we wanted to sit down and actually play it over and over and over. But once you've seen so much of the game, you can make your own judgment as to whether or not it's a good game. And I'm not going to show the whole thing to you also, because I'd like the idea of, if you really like what you saw, you might go out and try it for yourself. Like Mega Man X. We didn't finish Mega Man X on purpose. We ended at Booma Kawanger. His name is Wanger. So, that's where we stopped. And of course we did the Star Trek one, and that's going up soon. And the Toe Jam and Earl one, I love. I'm surprised we didn't actually beat that one, but at the end it got us. So, I'm going to be producing a new show, like I said, and it's going to add on to all the things that I've already done. And so far, everything that I'm handling right now is like I have spoken, which I've canceled, done with it. The only person that responded to it was Seth, and sadly Seth has a tough time talking by himself. Like, he can't really go off on his tangent correctly, and it was meant to be a rant show, and since he didn't quite... He clicks better in a group of people where he can bounce off jokes and things like that. He doesn't do well in a setting where he's just basically talking to himself, and that kind of hurt a lot of the episodes, so that's done. The Chairs is still up, of course, and that's really just a discussion show. I mean, I'm sure you figured that out by now. It's real simple. All you do is talk about different subjects, and my point was to create something where we would be able to argue with each other while still trying to prove a relative point or talking about a specific thing, series, item, whatever, event, and then post that information. The Chairs is run in a couple different formats. Everything from the one you've seen on the Superheroes podcast, which I guess was a Chairs, really, not a podcast, to the originals that we used to do, and even what we're doing today, where we just kind of have the stage set out and people can sit around and whatnot. I don't mind either of them in particular. The idea years ago was to have whatever we were talking about going on in the background, so there used to be like a TV and things like that behind me, where now that's not the case. But because of the new editing stuff that I've got, I can actually add clips and things like that, or pictures and whatnot as we're talking, so that's made it a lot better than what I was dealing with before. The last show, because I think I've mentioned the iCollect. No, iCollect is another thing that I do. iCollect is simply, I've collected a bunch of stuff. Sometimes I waste my money on the stuff, and that's irritating when you go out and you get yourself something, whether be it a manga, a box set, a video game, whatever, and it's some sort of special edition, and then when you get to going through it, you're like, this is terrible. Like, I wasted my money. I'm never going to watch it again, or I'm never going to care, and this and that. So my idea was to tell you things that I've collected that were worth it and things that I've collected that were not so worth it, and give you a general idea of how many times I've wasted money compared to how many times I feel like my money was actually well spent, and therefore maybe yours would be too. And the idea is to get feedback so that you can tell me different things also that you've got, or things that you might want to see, and other deals like that, so that as a community of collectors in general, we're not wasting our time and money. We're getting something that's worth getting, and that's for me too. If you guys have things that are actually worth having and I knew about it, I could then go get those things too and not waste my money on getting them. You get what I mean? So that was the idea before that. So I believe I've covered all my shows. Right now I'm running the Chairs, and of course this, Days Off, which is just a video vlog. It's not that difficult. I talk to the camera. That's all I do. And then, of course, so the Chairs, this, and I collect. It doesn't sound like much, but because I also edit the Let's Plays, and it's not a discredit to Nick, don't misunderstand it. It's just that it's easier to edit the Let's Plays than for Nick to edit the Let's Plays. I have a little more experience, and as Nick is just kind of getting into editing, he's going to be trying out a lot of different things and learning editing routine, timings, different things like that, as he does Paladin's Way, and that's not a bad thing. Sooner or later, he'll take over the Let's Plays entirely, and he'll be in charge of editing them, but I'm giving him that chance to to where he wants to be comfortably. Just like Shane has actually started to learn to edit. He doesn't work on a lot of things, but the last Reploid news and things like that, he edited that stuff. So he's also learning and expanding his understanding. And then, like I said, Kevin does his show. But since I have like 4 shows on me right now, adding a 5th is a little bit difficult. It's a little bit much, so I won't be doing this often, but there's going to be a show called Mas Manga, and the idea behind Mas Manga is real simple, and it's not going to be big episodes. I'm going to talk about the general idea of the first book of a manga. I'm going to show you some scenes from it, pictures, and then I'm going to talk about, of course, the man or persons that made the actual show or book. And look, see, I'm sorry I went off on shows and then talking about this and that, and I kind of got myself on a straight track here. But I'm going to clean the stage because we tore it up again. It happens. I'm not complaining. We all get together, we have a good time. So, but after I get the stage cleaned, I'm probably going to cut the first Mas Manga just to see if I like it, and then Kevin's going to come over and we're going to work on his show a little bit. And really, I'd like to do a video in the future. It might be the next days off. I can't guarantee it, where I go over the different people that are in the group or still in the group or have been in the group, ReploidProductions, talk about things that are for the future and what they do for the group in general. And just so it's out of the way now, when we get to that episode, it might, I know people don't like other people to like stroke their egos here, and that's not my intention at all. So don't misunderstand, but the next episode could sound like that, because compared to everybody else, I have done a lot in terms of all the editing and the directing and things like that. But that's changing, and I'm going to be getting a lot more rest on that, because as we've gotten more into a groove and we're more stable now, we've been able to add different shows and different ideas, because I feel like we are off the ground. I'm used to what I'm doing, they're used to what they're doing, and they've started taking up a lot of different learning. Like I said, right now I essentially have me. I'm probably our best editor, but I also have Seth, and Seth knows how to edit. He is good at editing. And then Nick is in the process of learning some decent editing, so before long he'll be taking over different things. Shane is learning editing. Kevin already edits his own show. He's not perfect at it, but nobody's perfect at it. We're all fairly amateur here. You get what I'm saying? And then so everybody's starting to learn different things, and it's going to pick us up a lot. And I think it's going to make this a lot easier to get shows out continuously, and it's going to be more practical, that one person isn't trying to do the directing and the screenplays and set the stage up correctly and do all the camera work, and also try to do like the editing at the end of it and everything. The less control that a person has over one certain episode, the more of a collaboration it can become, and that's going to be important. I'm looking forward to, because it's moving in that direction. Pretty soon it'll be to the point where I'll be able to film one of my episodes and not even have to edit it. I can film it and focus more on the actual creation of the episode, and then somebody can focus more on the post creation of the episode, where they just edit and add images and sound and different things like that. And I think it'll help us move faster. So we're on the right track here. If everybody just sticks with what they're doing, I don't feel like we can fail. So I don't know if I'm going to add another segment to this. I think I've said what I need to say, but if I don't, then see you guys. And I guess I'll see you again if I decide that this needs one more segment.